Assalamu alaikum, Sister Martha.
Alaikum assalam, and welcome to our edition of Cultural Insights here on American Muslim 360, the number one Islamic national broadcasting network in America. And we are so proud and thankful to be here this morning as we began. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. As I seek refuge with Allah from the shaitan, the rejected enemy of mankind, with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, I'm openly declaring that Allah is the one God. There are no partners with Allah. And Prophet Muhammad, prayers and peace be upon him, is a servant and messenger of Allah. Once again, greetings of peace from myself, Martha Nailah Wms Abdullah, and we will be sharing our disclaimer, American Muslim 360 disclaimer. Please stay with us, and we'll be right back. American Muslim 360 disclaimer. The contents of the American Muslim 360 Broadcasting Network is intended for general information and community service purposes only. Views expressed by hosts or guests are their own and not necessarily the official position of AM360 or the parent corporation, Community Wide Shura Conference, Inc., CWSC, or its board of directors. Content is designed to provide specific and personal medical, financial, legal, counseling, or other professional advice. No liability, explicit or implied, shall extend to hosts, AM360, or CWSC. We encourage you to consult an advisor for your specific circumstances. And now we will be connecting with our collaborative efforts with a new day for Al Islam Community Radio. The producer, William Kareem. Please stay with us. And again, thank you for being here with us on this day. Today is Sunday, and this is the counted as the first day of this particular week, and it is January 4th, 2026 AD on the Gregorian calendar. But it is the 20th of Rajab as we are in the Hijra calendar, and we're moving right along. And I say right along, we're moving consciously and conscientiously as we are adapting to our physical locations wherever we are, and we are adapting to the mental locations where we are. As some of us have changed our habits, some have not, some have taken on new careers, some have not, some have retired from their long lasting work or their volunteerism. Some are now experiencing difficulties, challenges in their lives. And some are newborns, newly entering this life. Habits will be formed, traditions will be catered to, and the new possibilities of the human being, the human intellect, and the spirit that is connected with it, we will see the introduction of new ideas, new inventions. And as the human family will continue to connect around the globe, we will return to having that respect for the creator and the human family. So let's connect to William Kareem, A New Day for Al Islam Community Radio, Cultural Insights. We'll be right back.
These days, as opposed to offensive and defensive strategy that was used by those in the Shaquille O'Neal era. Once again, exactly. Well, again, I explained that, and I'm going to explain it again because I think that's a thing that has to be understood. Basketball has changed. A center is no longer just an individual who stands by the basket and dribbles and turns around and shoots the ball. Right? In this day and age, centers are so much more skilled ball players in general are so much more skilled in all of the areas of basketball, meaning dribbling, passing, shooting, free throws, having agility, being able to not only use their power, but use finesse. And those things have changed the game. And it took some time to get there. But now we're in an era where 7-footers are a normality. As we spoke last week about Victor Wembanyama, who is 7'6", 7'5", and plays like a 6'1" guard. This is the era we're in, where taller players are more skilled and have a bigger effect on the game. One of the things that has been spoken about a lot is, and we're gonna, there's gonna be someone calling in shortly who's gonna, add to this conversation. So look out for that pop.
And Sister Martha Nailah Abdullah is with us. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. I am so grateful and thankful to be here.
Sister, you on mute?
Am I on mute?
Okay, she's on mute, but she called.
Yes, I am on mute, and assalamu alaikum to you. Alhamdulillah. I'm trying to maneuver these technical things as well still, but I'm here and I'm in Atlanta now, right now. Praise be to Allah.
Oh.
It's wonderful.
We're gonna, and we may have a conversation about that too, because there's some things happening in Atlanta that affected New York this week. So we definitely want to talk about that.
Right now, but let me say this to you. See, because Sister Martha, I tell you, your team, your Miami Heat did a job on Nikola Jokic, and got him out the game. I don't know. Y'all might have did that on purpose, man.
Well, there's a lot to be told behind the scene. But now Miami Dolphins, which is really my heartfelt team, beat the Buccaneers in football.
Okay. Well, we definitely will mention that, because again, there's some stuff happening down there in Miami, and of course, football is popping right now. There's a lot going on. The playoffs are starting. There's a push for the champion. There's a push for the playoffs, and so there's a lot going on in a lot of the cities in regards to football. But just coming back to basketball for a second, the Heat have been a decent team this year. But this situation with Nikola Jokic really has caused issue in terms of the league. It's changed the dynamic of the league with losing a guy of this caliber. And he should be out for maybe, they say, 4 to 6 weeks. It could be shorter. It could be longer. But we'll figure that out. Let's move on to number 3. Let's talk about Mr. Maxey, destroyer my Knicks the other day. Not happy about it, but I do like Maxey as a player, and he dropped 36 points, a certain scoring stop to one of the league's most electric individual performances this week, man. And he's been doing this regularly. I think he's top 4 or top 3, maybe top 5. I'm going to say top 5 in scoring in the NBA right now. This young man has really taken his game to the next level.
I mean, yeah, that's very true. He's definitely a player to watch. May God bless him to stay healthy. That's the only thing that I would like to say about that, Kivel. That we always like to see the artistics and the offense of players like Tyrese Maxey and his team, as they depend on him to that degree to give him the ball so that he can do what he does, whether it's shooting from the 3-point line or actually infiltrating the defense of the other team and getting the basket. It's an artistic work to really watch as far as Tyrese Maxey is concerned.
Excellent young man, and his team continues to get better. He also, without a shadow of a doubt, is not doing this alone. He has a young man with him who was drafted number 3 last year. His name is VJ Edgecombe. VJ has been a bright light for Philadelphia, who thought that they would be without Joel Embiid and also Paul George, who are also all-stars and legendary players in the NBA, but have had injury issues. Yeah, injury issues were a concern going into this year, but because of Maxey's ascension over the last year or two, because of VJ Edgecombe coming in and being a stellar addition to their team in the backcourt, it has taken a lot of pressure off of Embiid and off of Paul George, where their productivity doesn't have to be at the highest level. They don't have to have the ball in their hands or score as much, which gives them more of an opportunity to stay healthy. While the younger guys, Maxey and Edgecombe, they are now taking on more of the load, which allows for those guys to kind of lean back and be healthier as you move forward into the new year.
Yeah, that's what kind of shocked me to some degree when I saw Paul George, the superstar that he is, and I see that he's not produces as much, but giving the ball off, passing the ball off to his teammate, and not going for the shots and things like that. That was a very interesting thing to watch in the game. We have another. I think we have a special guest that has come on with us, Kivel. Could you tell them a little bit about the special guest?
Well, I'll let the special guests introduce themselves, man, as they step into the game. Introduce yourself, Cole.
I'm Kivel.
So the wonderful thing. So what we have right now is we have my son. This is a third generation stepping into the game, right? So there is Pop, obviously my father. I am Kivel Jr.'s father, and so we have 3 generations of individuals on with you today. So special day for us, but also just want to take a second to say June. We were talking, and I called him June, as he is junior. So again, like how I call Pop, I call my son June. You know what I mean? June, talk to us a little bit about this. One syllable. Talk to us a little bit about, because we were just talking about Maxey and the game he had against the Knicks. And we were just talking about how he's really ascended in terms of what he does in the Philly team as well.
Well, I think Maxey's great, obviously. He's probably one of my favorite players in the NBA. The thing that I think has taken Maxey over the edge is, honestly, his efficiency has gone up a lot. Like, in terms of the amount of 3-pointers that he shoots a game, he probably shoots on, like, the higher end of 10 3-pointers a game, like, closer to 10, which is, like, a very high value. I think he's shooting about 40% from the line, from the 3-point line, which is, like, amazing. And obviously, if you're making more threes, you're going to score more points. As well as now he has a lot of more free range to work because with Embiid being on a minutes restriction, he kind of has to carry the offensive load since he's their core. So, I mean, we combine all the things together with more shots, bigger role, you're going to score more points, of course. And, like, this evolving as a player, like, he's been in the league for, I think this is his 5th year, 6th year maybe. So it's just like learning what shots to take, what shots not to take, mastering the pick and roll, because that's what he's really good at. Being aggressive on defense, getting steals because he's very fast. And, yeah, it's just a lot. But, yeah, Max is definitely taking a huge lead.
Yeah, that's an excellent point about him. His steal percentage is probably real good. I mean, and it's really interesting to watch him, really, steal the basketballs from players, man. It's really interesting to see how he does that. Really interesting.
He also, too, I want to mention, I love the fact that he has taken on the role of the leader. Mm-hmm. He was, again, as a younger player, sometimes, and especially when you have players like Paul George or Joel Embiid, you may fade into the background. He has taken a leap into the forefront and become the face of the Philadelphia 76ers. And so, though they have these amazing guys who've already established themselves, he's been able to ascend into a position where they not have to, but I believe they are willing to follow the young man. But also, June, let's talk a little bit about the teammates around them too, man. You know what I'm saying? Like McCain and Edwards, in the group that's on that bench.
I think, okay, so going through the starting, like, teams around Max, for example, like, Edgecombe is very explosive. He matches Max's pace, which is, like, great because, like, McCain last year, of course, he was having, like, a breakout year, and, well, McCain's a player that plays in the half court. He's, like, pretty average speed. So having somebody like DJ Edgecombe that can run with Maxey, they can alternate lobs, can alternate ball, being ball dominant, driving to the basket, attacking, creating rim pressure. That's great. Then having Paul George, who's like a vet. I mean, Paul George is not really having the best year. He's getting old, but Paul George can still hit threes. He can still get on bucket. and he has experience. Although he does not have a championship or has made it out, he's not like a historical great playoff winner. He's still been in the NBA for a while. Then I think when they're running out the pool, who are they running out the
I
pool?
think they have. I think Edwards is out there.
No, I think it was. I mean, whoever it is, their forwards are pretty decent. Barlow's a good rebounder. He stays under, like next to the box, gets lobs. That's easy points all the time. Edwards is a great shooter. Honestly, he's a really great catch and shoot shooter, like really great. And then of course you have Embiid, and Embiid, although he is not the same player he was a couple years ago in terms of like he move. He still has a lot of skill. He can still shoot. Like just because you're the work don't mean you can't shoot the ball. Your form is going to be the same regardless of what condition you're in. So Embiid, just having him there is great because Embiid's so healthy. Like when he's healthy, he's top 5 player in the NBA, honestly.
Well, so does he have a lot of these players that you're naming? Are these players that are young players that have come into the league?
Yeah, honestly, the only real vets on the team that actually play are Paul George, I guess Embiid counts to vet, and Andre Drummond. But the majority of guys are like in the 21 to like 27 range or 25, 26.
And that makes
These guys are.
that makes a big difference.
Honestly, yeah, because I mean, when you're younger, your body's gonna be like more durable. Like injuries won't impact them the same, and then just being explosive. Like since they're young, their games aren't refined like how Paul George had to from being dunking everything to have to be more technical and surgical. And like when you play a whole basketball game rather than just dunking on everybody. These guys are just able to run, dunk, catch lobs, block everything, like get back up from the craziest balls. It definitely, it's a good and a bad thing. That's what I'm saying. But it's working in their favor because they're doing pretty well.
These guys, man, have had an excellent situation for themselves. But when we talk about the fact that the NBA has definitely moved towards the younger players, and one of the greatest abilities is availability, and the fact that your younger players are available when those older players have injuries or wind up having to leave games. You get the opportunity to see the talent level that is available on these benches. And I know that is one of the reasons we are seeing better basketball is because we're seeing the transition of players from the last 10 years, 15 years into the new guys who are 2, 3, 5, 6 years in, and these guys are ready to take the mantle. And that is what Tyrese Maxey has done. He's essentially taken the mantle in Philadelphia, and now the more veteran players and even the younger guys, they see him as a leader, and they're able to follow him because he is producing. Again, I believe he is one of the top 5 scorers in the NBA.
Oh yeah, he's definitely. I think he's like number 3 behind Shaq.
I mean, it's just an incredible thing. And for that, let's move on to Players of the Month honors, man. For December, we really want to talk about Jalen Brunson, man. Jalen Brunson has been a bucket. He was actually the NBA Player of the Month this month. Just incredible what he's been able to do in leading the Knicks every single night, even though they took a couple of losses recently, which they, had some challenges. He wasn't able to perform at the highest level, but over the month, he really has been a killer in terms of what he's been able to do to lead the Knicks to wins. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, of course, June's favorite basketball player. He earned NBA Player of the Month as well for the Western Conference. Jalen Brunson was for the Eastern Conference. And Cooper Flagg and Conker Nipple. These two guys, man, both played at Duke, but they came into the league very young. I believe Cooper just turned 19, and I think Nipple is also 19. And they're producing as first-year players on their team, and they really have to be spotlighted as established stars and rising stars continue to show out in 2025-26.
Yeah, I would say that I call Jalen Brunson the leprechaun killer because your team your team could be as far as heavy you want, man, but he get that leprechaun on his shoulder, man, and he brings it. I mean, leprechaun killer. Watching him this week, and their teams that are so afraid of him that they have to double team him, man. I don't see a lot of people seeing him teaming, plays, but that's how effective that they know he is. So they have to double team him, put the ball in somebody else's hand. I mean, it's just something to watch. Sure. June doesn't love the Knicks as much, but I'll let him talk about Shea because Shea, that's his guy. Go ahead, John. I agree.
Well, Shea really was playing him up. I think I was expected, especially now that Jokic is down. And like Luka's he's not any competition. If I'm being honest for Shea. So honestly, the thing I would say is like he's efficient. Like that's word to use for Shea. For this month he shot, I believe, around 58% from the field for this month or for December. 42% from the three and 91% from the free throw line. That's crazy. Guys, you really 90.
Did you say 91% from the field goal from the field?
From the free throw line.
3-4 line. So that means that if he's inside, if he's inside the near the 3-point line, it's like an automatic. Because that's how I see him. He's automatic. But once he gets past, he gets in that circle. It's it. It's gonna go in.
You cannot be, and you mentioned it, both of you were saying it, about Brunson and about Shea. There is a level of efficiency. It's not just about shooting the basketball or being able to have the ball in your hands a lot of the time. It's about what you do and how you're able to do it efficiently. And a 50-40-90 month is legendary because people don't play that well in the NBA on a regular basis.
Well, I will tell you this here, that I will say this to you, and that is, if I see Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or Jalen Brunson get within within the 3-point line, within that, it's like, and if they shoot it, I know it's automatic. It's like, that's it. That I get in my head. Well, it's automatic. They didn't got to the 3-point line. They're past the 3-point line. It's automatic, and that's the efficiency you're talking about.
Yes, for sure. It's like Shea's game also like for Brunson it's a little bit more three, but for Shea's like he gets to the spots. He's like one of probably the best athletes to score in the NBA. He gets to the spots and bumps off maybe like that's the easiest shot for him possible because that's all he does. All he does is when you watch him work out, it's a lot of mid ranges. It's a lot of course, like things that you're going to apply in a real game, but he worked on the thing that he does in the game. So it's all going to be better. Because I mean, you've been touching it for so long, it just becomes it's your rhythm. Like I know when I get to this point, I'm going to make this shot. Like I'm confident.
Well, let me ask you this also: why is it that Luka Doncic is not in this player of the week? Because he seems to be the same kind of guy that once he gets, within that circle, man, in the 3-point line, or whether he's inside the 3-point line, man, that it's automatic with him. Why is he not in it?
The thing with Luka is that he's like he's like very inefficient. That's it. He's okay. That's what I'll say. The Lakers are a 4th seed, but the wins they don't hit because the team they beat are not. They haven't beat any team that's like a serious like contender. Like they played OKC, everybody was hyping that matchup. Oh shit, Luka, and they lost by 30 points. They were already down by 30 by the end of the second quarter. It's like Luka. So first of all, Luka is a flashy pass version. People are blinded by the fact that he can throw these crazy one-handed, under the leg, behind the back passes. When you actually take a second to look at the stat sheet, okay, Luka has 34, 10, and 11. He has 11 assists, right? But he has 8 turnovers. That's terrible. That's generally terrible. And then he's jacking up 12 threes a game. they take 4 of them. So that's already 33% from the 3, which is okay, but that's not good. Then he's 9 of 24. That's terrible. You're basically shooting 36% for his field. And then you look at his free throw, and this is the thing they say about Shea all the time. Oh, free throw merchant this, free throw merchant that. And then people will say that or try to discredit Shea's skills in the points he gets because he shoots a lot of free throws. When Luka genuinely averages 12 free throws a game, and Luka shoots on a day-to-day basis way more free throws than Shea. They have not had a double-digit free throw game since the beginning of December. The whole month of December, the most free throws he shot in a game was 9. The most free throws Luka shot in this month was 20. He literally shot 20 like 2 days ago. That's terrible. And then he lost the game too.
And this is the thing. Again, we talk about Luka, and we talk about these players a lot, man. In terms of the international player and international flavor that has come into the NBA, these guys are very skilled players. But there is a thing, obviously, where the NBA is also a business. And so when you think about the NBA, and we talked about this before on this show, the NBA is about business. And the business now wants to move into international spaces. Luka, Giannis, Jokic, even Embiid and Wembanyama, they're all foreign-born players, right? So when you talk about Luka and him being in LA, there is a reason why he's pushed out there and promoted to a certain degree, because the business of the NBA wants to move into international waters. And Luka is a player that they believe they can put their money on and push themselves out there into the international space in terms of the NBA business, right? Not basketball, but the NBA business. And so again, when you look at, as June said, the actual efficiency and effect on a basketball game, not on the business of basketball, but on the game itself of wins and losses. What Shea does is what Shea does, what Jalen Brunson does, leads to wins rather than to a flashy stat line, which will then be able to be pushed out into the media as, hey, this person is great. We want to see the W's. And again, there's another thing. It's the eye test, right? The stats are great. Like June was just quoting all of the stats. True. But then there is the eye test as well. People who know basketball, watch basketball, have seen basketball, when they look at basketball players, they can tell how good a basketball player is and what they're doing to affect the basketball game. And so there, I think, is the difference when it comes to Luka.
Well, let me ask you this, because there's something else that, by you bringing the business part in it. Of course, the business of basketball is important because, you got to fill the seats in order to get the cash to that degree. That's important. And I think that the Lakers, I think that, like, they're going on having LeBron, Luka, and others, to fill in this, that people are coming to see them play. Kind of thing. So it's like, star power that they have. And that's why people are coming to see them. But I don't see them putting forth the effort, just like you said, man, they lose by 30 points. Come on, man. Keep on.
The Thunder handled them. Oh my God.
Say that again?
The Thunder handled them. It was a really sad game to watch. Because they were hyping it up. I'm like, yo, let's see what they're gonna do. Let's see what Luka's gonna do, how you respond to this defense. And he got boxed up and they shut him down. The game was already done in the second quarter. It was done in the first quarter, honestly.
Yeah, this is again the amazing thing about the NBA today, man, is that we have, as we started this conversation, you have these really great players who are achieving these incredible numbers and putting themselves in positions to be compared to the greats in our game. The Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the Oscar Robinsons, to be compared with the Shaquille O'Neal. These guys are putting themselves in a great position to do what they need to do. One of the things that we have to pay attention to and is affecting the game is injury. And so to move to what has happened in the injury space, Nikola Jokic, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, is out multiple weeks with a left knee hyperextension. this hyperextension also happened with Victor Wembanyama during the game, and so he's continuing to see knee soreness. That's going to be a game time situation for him. John Conchar, who's out in Memphis, he's got a thumb injury in the forward. He's less of an important piece as the player Albert Shingun out in Houston, who has a sprained ankle, and is a big part of what they're doing in Houston. But he'll be a game time decision. And again, and we'll know about his status then. And of course, Giannis, after having what is one of the most historic games, to put himself in that category with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Oscar Robinson, is dealing with a calf injury that he's been dealing with all year. And he's also going to be a game time decision. So a lot of these injuries are changing the landscape of where teams are right at this moment. June, speak to that a little bit as well.
About the injuries?
Yeah.
In general? All right.
Yeah.
So, Jokic, who was delayed? That's all right.
But
Yeah.
good.
No, I mentioned this. Basically, Jokic, all right, so the whole MVP race was happening. I'm just going down the list. The whole MVP race was happening, and Jokic was leading, and then he got the hyperextension. That changes the course of the rest of the season for onto the West, because now the Jokic is definitely out for about a month. That's probably like 10 to 12 games that the Nuggets are going to play, or like 8 games that the Nuggets are going to play, which it's going to be rough because the Nuggets now, prior to the Jokic injury, they were missing 3 of their 5 starters, and now Jokic is out, so they're missing their offensive engine and 4 starters. So it's like, honestly, they're probably going to lose some games. It might drop a little bit, which may affect their placement when the playoffs come. And instead of Nuggets do sneak into like a 7 for AFC, they end up playing like OKC. Like, that could be a terrible matchup for OKC. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying injury is a good thing, but it's never going to be something that may make the playoffs, like when playoffs come around, a difficult time. Same with Giannis. Giannis getting injured, also another MVP caliber player. The Bucks are totally, like, they're terrible without him. Like, they can't do a single thing without Giannis. Giannis is fighting. Everyone who watches basketball knows that Giannis is an amazing player. When he's on the court, he's always going to get it done. He's going to get rebounds, blocks, steals, score a lot of points, do everything. But he just hasn't been playing. He hasn't been available. So for the Bucks and their contention in the East, it's nothing going to happen. Then you have players like Bangor getting injured, and then Wembanyama getting injured. The Spurs are still a great team. The Spurs and the Rockets are both great teams, even without these guys who are essential to the winning. So I think for those teams, they'll be okay. Just let these guys rest. The Rockets and the Spurs can afford to lose a few games. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the Nuggets can as well, but their losing is probably going to be more consistent than the Rockets. Because the Rockets still have Katie, they still have Ben Thompson, they still have Jabari Smith, they have all these guys. And the Spurs have everybody beside them. So,
Well, let me ask you about this injury situation, because I think that if the NBA is really going to show some improvement, they have to deal with making improvements as far as injuries are concerned, because a lot of players wind up going out with the same kind of injuries. That sprained ankles, knee injuries, that this would, if basketball wants to get better, especially as far as getting more effective, they'll have to make improvements as far as injury, and that's kind of difficult because it's a physical game for each individual player, right? To that degree.
it definitely is a very physical game. Also, these guys, like, injuries are inevitable, honestly. It's bad to see it happen, but it's going to happen. You're going to end up, or you may only end up in, like, that weird stance. Your leg gets caught in crossfire. You fall weird. Like, very inevitable. But it's just surprising that it's happening to this many star players. Like,
Why is it that it didn't happen to LeBron James as much? Is it because of his routine or what? I mean, because he doesn't get injured as much as the other guys.
Definitely routine. And LeBron is, like, huge. Like, he's a huge guy. So I'm sure his body's extremely durable, even as he gets older. Like, he can take more falls, more contact, and like he's been playing since he was 17. So I'm sure he knows what to do and what not to do. So
Another thing about LeBron, man, that is different from these guys, and I would say Jokic is also in that space. Sengun is also in that space. These guys are not top heavy, right? And so what I mean by that is that they have a frame that is balanced. They have lower body as well as upper body. So Nikola Jokic, he doesn't rely on athleticism as much. So him being injured with a hyperextended knee, as you mentioned, is more of a freak injury because it's basketball. And so that happens. But Jokic is a pretty durable guy because across the board, his body is balanced top and bottom. Sengun, same thing. His injury is a sprained ankle. Yes, he'll be out, but that's a natural basketball injury because of the fact that he plays inside in the paint with the bigger guys. You're liable to get an ankle injury. He's also not a very athletic guy like Jokic. He doesn't jump in the air a lot. He plays a lot towards the ground, but that's an ankle sprain, a natural basketball injury. He's also, again, a guy who is balanced frame-wise, top and bottom. A guy like Victor Wembanyama, who is so thin, right? This guy is a guy who we look at and say he may be more injury prone. LeBron, to come back to your initial question, LeBron is a guy who is across the board balanced. He's 260, 270 pounds, 6'9", but he's not top heavy. He is a guy who is built balanced, top and bottom. So for him, injury was something that was less likely to happen as long as he took care of his body to a certain degree. And even today, he can play. So he could probably play another, as long as he wants to, because as big as he is, he could just go into the paint like a Sengun, like a Jokic, hang out in the paint, and he's going to score easy because of his size. He's not going to get as he's not going to be as injury prone because he doesn't have a light frame. Which again, you twist an ankle and your body, in terms of your lower body, is muscular and strong, you are fine. But if you're a thin framed guy like Wembanyama, and let's take another guy who has had many injuries as well, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis came into the league. He was a slender guy. He got bigger up top. And then his bottom, his legs became the issue. Knee injuries, ankle injuries, calf injuries, foot injuries. I mean, the guy can't stay on the floor because his lower body is not as strong and as durable as his upper body is, which is what they work on.
But the question is it because that he doesn't take care of his body as well?
It's not about taking care of. No, it's not about that. Remember, these guys have the best trainers, the best nutritionists, the best doctors. These guys have the best physical trainers. These guys are all receiving that. But the thing is that DNA has to play into this because DNA and luck. Because again, it's not like LeBron didn't get injured. LeBron got injured too many times, but it's just that LeBron has a different kind of DNA. He's built differently. He has a different genetics. Right? He has different genetics that allow him, and he's been lucky. And he's been lucky enough not to have major injuries. LeBron's never had a major injury, ever. You know what I'm saying? Ever had a major injury. So this is why he's been able to play for 23 years.
I thought it was because of his workout. That his workout had a lot to do with it, and his eating and all the rest of it had a lot to do with it.
Of course, that does have something. It does. But then again, you still go out there and you jump into the air 3 feet off of the ground, and you come down, and a guy's foot is there. Right? That's how many times has he done that since he was a young man? Right? And he still was able to play 23 years. So that means that he didn't have those moments where something dramatic happened to his body where he would have to have major injury. Joe, we give you the last comments on that right there.
No, I definitely agree. LeBron's he's just built different. Like he's Superman in the NBA, man. He's 6'9", 250. He can do it. He can take whatever. I'm not gonna lie. He's just like that. Guys like Anthony Davis are always gonna get injured because his legs are overloaded with so much weight. It's like, yeah, they're easy to be taken out, honestly. Bro.
Well, the last thing I would throw in the air, man, and I think is important for us to ask, as Pop had asked, with historic performances, sudden injuries, and shifting contender narrative, is this the moment depth and resilience become the true currency of the NBA's success? What do you think?
Yeah, I do think depth is where success comes from. We're out of that era of super teams where you could just overload with star players, and then if one of your stars got hurt, you still have other stars. Like, nah, we're in an NBA where it's a lot more balanced. There's a lot more teams that are well built to dismantle other teams. So it's like a team like the Spurs, for example, where they lose Wembanyama, who's supposed to be the star player. They have so many guys. They have Bosh and Penny, Vassell, Castle, Harper, Cornette. Like, they have so many guys that are capable of winning because they're also great players. They also have played major roles on other teams, and now they're just here to Wembanyama, like here to help the star. And that's the thing that we're seeing more often. It's like a star and a supporting cast. The supporting cast does not mean that players are bad. They're great players, but they're supporting the main person on the team. And you have teams like that they're going to win because when their star gets injured and they play another team, they're still better than the other team because they have so many guys who can bring it every single night.
Speak a little bit too about what happened with the Celtics, man. We was just watching this, man, where we talked again. Pop, you had asked this thing about Tatum, right, and how Jason Tatum is out and has been out for the entire year. What Jaylen Brown has been able to do, along with the supporting cast that they had built around those guys, man, just really has changed the landscape again in terms of what NBA success looks like.
Honestly, Tatum, of course, is very valuable to the Celtics, of course, like no brainer. But Jaylen Brown is also a very good, great player. That's why him and Tatum were like a dynamic duo. Because although Tatum was able to handle himself, Jaylen Brown was also able to bring the same energy every single night that Tatum was often always doing. And with your cast like Derek White, Payne Pritchard, these guys are reliable players. They've been on the Suns for a few years. People trust them. And now with the addition of guys like Jordan Walsh or I forgot Josh, I think his name is Minot. Yeah, Minot. These guys are stepping into bigger roles because they need to help. Because now Tatum's gone, it's a lot. But these guys are evolving as players. Although they're not Tatum, they are 3-and-D guys, come and play defense, get steals, make the game easier for Jaylen Brown. Like, it's just you're working as a team rather than, we're going to play through our stars, which is usually many teams' course of action.
Yeah, man.
Jaylen Brown said he went off on the NBA after being robbed of the Player of the Month because he said that his numbers was better than. Did you see that? Where he said that his numbers was better than Player and Shea.
Let's talk about it.
And his numbers was better than both of them.
He's an incredible player, man, and me and June have had these conversations again, as we always do. The conversation that we're having here on Let's Talk. On the digital experience with Kid is the same conversation we have in our homes. We talk. Me and my pops talk a lot. Me and June talk a lot about basketball, and so I've said multiple times over the last few months when we knew Jason Tatum was going to be out, that Jaylen Brown, because he had received that large contract, the biggest contract before Jason Tatum got the biggest contract ever in the NBA. Jaylen Brown was paid because he's a great player. And his opportunity when Jason Tatum went down became evident. that he had to take the mantle and become the leader and show why he received all of that money. And what he has done, along with that cast of players that are over there in Boston, is show that Joe Tatum went down. You have someone else you can rely on who is going to be there to lead you possibly to an opportunity to win an NBA championship. And that's what it's all about when you talk about basketball, regardless of the business, regardless of the injuries, regardless of who steps up. It's about winning games and inevitably getting to the ultimate goal, which is winning the NBA championship. Once again, we appreciate you, June, pulling up, man, and doing that real, man. You know what I'm saying? It's now 11:58, and we about to have to move into the very next thing on the agenda of the quick hitters digital experience right here on the New Day Community Radio. June, thanks for pulling up. I hope you pull up even more, man. We love having you, and of course, man, your knowledge of basketball is super incredible. So I hope you come back and share with us again.
Yes, please come back.
Yes, please come back. Enjoy it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, June, for pulling up, man. Pop, man, with that, man, listen, let's jump in there before we get out of here for talking about real quick sports. Let's get a commercial in here about what's been going on New Day Radio and, of course, Sister Martha, what's going on in America and what's on 360.
William, you want to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay. On American Muslim 360, we're engaged in, we're opening our minds up to the international view, national, international. And I say it in that manner because I was reading the NBA and in national basketball and baseball and looking at the patterns that they're following and how those that connect with them business wise, the extraneous businesses that attach themselves to the whole process of expanding to an international platform was so likewise with broadcasting and broadcasting network. So we're collaborating with others, such as, we're right here, New Day for Al Islam Community Radio, and with Words Make People and the Muslim Journal in print. So that's our effort. But the whole thrust of it all is that we're asking the question, what does being human mean to you? And then we face these initiatives of faith, family, fasting, function, and freedom. So that includes a whole lot. And we're making the turn from just looking at the Gregorian calendar into looking at how to improve our lives and make the factor of the Hijra calendar and the Ascension become more of a common communication piece as we strive to help one another to improve our lives. That's what's happening at American Muslim 360, CWSC overall.
Yes, what we're doing on the New Day for Al Islam Community Radio, of course, we have Monday with our brother Ibn Yaqub Islam. And he was a little sick this Monday, so his wife took over. And she did the program. She does it Khalil and she does the program on Tuesdays. We have our sisters in Islam, and that's with our sister Martha, sister Rashida, sister Amira, and many others that come on and they read the Quran in Arabic first and then English. And it's really interesting because Sister Martha has a pretty good understanding of the Arabic, and when she breaks it down in a way that we can understand it, especially as far as the words are concerned. And so we have good conversation on Tuesday, and you should definitely come on and check that out. On Wednesday, this Wednesday, what we had was we had a conversation about music, and we had this conversation about music because there's always something that's coming up that says, like music is halal, music is haram. And I saw something that says, are they lying about music? And this so-called scholar was supposed to come on and he was supposed to talk about that music situation. And I didn't think that he did a pretty good job as far as it's concerned. So what I'm going to do is on Mondays, in Upload, that's what I'm going to be starting to address. I'm going to start to address the music situation because we have a pretty good understanding of the situation. So we're going to deal with that. But that's what we did on Wednesday. On Thursday, we have The Voice with our brother Ibn Yaqub Islam, and he came on and he did his program. And also, we have a program on Thursdays at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time called the Khalifa Report. And I mean, with my sister Rashida Robinson and some of the others, the Imam Ahmed and Imam Rahman, they come on and powerful conversation, about, quantum, about being a Khalifa, et cetera, et cetera. So please be encouraged to listen to that. Of course, it's a really powerful program. And of course, on Friday, which is Juma, what we did on this Friday, we thank everybody that comes on a New Day for Al Islam Community Radio, because it's the beginning of the year. And this beginning of the year was able to, we've been on a free conference call for a whole year. And we started in the first beginning of January 2025. So here it is with January 2026. And we just appreciate everybody that has come on and supported the program, because we again, the program is for you to come on and share. So that's what's going on a New Day for Al Islam Community Radio. Next week, we're going to have Imam Yusuf Ramadan is going to come on and talk to some things, because Muhammad Sharif wanted them to come on, so it will happen. So that's where we at, Kivel. And again, join our program, which is 971-379-9162. You'll get some very good conversation. And then, and we encourage you to join in. And you can talk about anything. We're in the American experience. We understand what's going on in the American experience, no matter whether you're Christian, Muslim, or Jew, or atheist. It doesn't matter. We can kick it. We know about it. Go ahead.
This is what it is. We having conversation, you know what I mean? That's what we do. And sometimes, that leads right into what we do, which is let's talk real quick, which is the next segment that we're getting ready to dive into. We wanted to make sure that you know how many things are happening over here on the New Day Community Radio and, of course, American Muslim 360 as we continue to evolve through this platform, pre-conference call, and we're in a brand new year. It's going to only get better as we move forward. Thank you to our guests, my son, my pop's grandson, Junior, again, Kivel Junior. But I want to give him his doubt. I want to give him his doubt as his own individual self, because at the end of the day, the young man is truly impressive, and his knowledge of not only basketball but other things is only continuing to ascend. So I hope he comes back and contributes to the show, not only in the basketball space, but in other spaces, but definitely in the basketball space, because it's something that he appreciates just as much as we do.
That's right. He's a Fusion. We appreciate that he came on with us. And here we go into the next segment that's called, here we go.
That's what it is. You already know where you at right now. You right here with, of course, Mr. Kivel and Sister Martha, a New Day Community Radio and American Muslim 360, and we are the Quick Hitters Digital Experience right here, jumping into our next segment, which we call Let's Talk Real Quick. For this segment, what we do is we talk and celebrate hip-hop culture in its many forms. As we discussed before, there are 5 components of hip-hop. 1 is DJing, 2, MCing, 3, b-boying, 4, graffiti, and the last is knowledge. We here on Let's Talk Real Quick provide you knowledge around those components. And so we always start off with our first offering in this segment, and that is Quick Hits. Quick Hits is an opportunity for us to share 5 songs we think you need to hear from an artist who is past or present. Today, we're going to celebrate one who has been celebrated many a time, and his name is Tupac Shakur.
Yes.
Yes. Think about Tupac.
Tupac is a very interesting young man. He came on the scene, and when he came on the scene, he did a lot. He was in movies. He dropped some songs at the beginning of hip hop. He was and it was a time when hip hop started going gangster. That's when it started going gangster. when hip hop when Tupac came in, it started to be that gangster type of thing going on with uh, um, the West Coast coming on in with NWA and putting curses in the verses, and it was picked up over here on the East Coast, and but they made an impact on the culture, and making that impact on the culture. Tupac was holding it down to a great degree. He was very controversial because he spoke out, and told everybody the way that he thought and felt about things, especially as far as his culture is concerned. His last name was Shakur. That had a lot to do with the Black Panther type of situation. There was a lot of gunplay that happened around this time, and it was unfortunate that like he had to wind up being a martyr, or giving up his life because of the lifestyle that he led. But he was definitely a pioneer in the hip hop culture.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And his music made waves because of the fact that he was an individual who spoke out. Again, we must always preface everything we say with the fact that hip hop is a art form of rebellion. It is a movement of revolution through music, through the body, through expression. And because of that, Tupac was able to harness that in many ways and push that the genre of hip hop forward in many ways. One of the ways he did it, of course, I mentioned the other areas in which he was transcendent. One of the ways he did it was in the way he was able to create music, tell stories, and connect with folks through what it was that he was presenting audio-wise. He started out, I remember when my first time seeing Tupac was when he was with a group called the Digital Underground. And Digital Underground was a different kind of group from the West Coast, more playful and fun, yet at the same time, very serious about how it was that they created their own legacy. And Tupac, as a young man, recognized that they had something, a momentum, and he joined that momentum of Digital Underground. He then dropped a song with them that was pretty popular at the time. The reason why it was popular was because it was part of a movie that starred Dan Aykroyd, which was a kind of campy kind of movie, but they had the song, which was the lead song off of the soundtrack for the movie. And in that, Tupac was actually seen with Digital Underground. This is before he became a lead in hip hop in any kind of way. So that's where he really started. But where we kind of added on to him was when he started to release songs like Brenda Has a Baby. And when he released Brenda Had a Baby, that was a transcendent song. Many people in that time period were not talking about the struggles of single mothers, the struggle of young mothers having babies in our neighborhoods. And he was able to present that in a way that was acceptable, and not only acceptable, but began to change conversation around how we as community were addressing an issue. That issue was teen pregnancy. He also then dropped a song called Dear Mama. Dear Mama became a transcendent song due to the fact that his mother, as Pop mentioned, was a part of the Black Panther movement. And her and her husband were involved in an incident which wound up putting them in jail. And he, Tupac Shakur, was actually born in jail because his mother was in prison. So this guy spoke to the fact that he wanted to have a letter to his mama. And when he wrote that letter to his mama, man, all of us who love our mamas, who know our mother's struggles, who knew our mama's pain, right, and our mother's triumphs, were truly impressed and wanted to play. I mean, that song played at so many Mother's Day events, right? And not only that, at birthday parties and celebrations of mothers all over the place. So again, Tupac was one of those guys who was able to take his lyrical skill, his character, and his intellect and put it into um, musical form and present some incredible pieces of art. With that, we're going to take a chance to listen to the song Change. Let's do it. Yeah, mama. All right, that was Dear Mama. I wanted you to play Changes, Pop. Let's jump into Changes.
Changes? Oh, okay. Okay. I
Yes, sir.
do baby. Brenda had a baby, but we do changes. There you go.
Yeah, we're gonna get that Changes in here. Let's go. Oh, you know this song. No, you know this song.
Wait a minute. Let me stop it to let you know. The first song that has been done by Toby that we listened to, "Dear Mama," the music in the background was from Joe Sample. The music in the background was from a jazz album by Joe Sample. This one right here
Right.
is a pop song that was also very popular. That's the way it is. Some people never change.
That's the way it is. Yes, sir. You know, talking about pop. That's hip hop, boy. Across the line, we build a bridge. Generations. Let's go. That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
That's just the way it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Sister Martha. You know that one, Sister Martha. Let's go. I'm all excited. He's dropping the background.
That's my baby, Tupac Shakur.
I'm telling you. Oh, but what do you think about him, Sister Martha? I know Pop said, that there were some challenges, and I know we know those challenges. What do you have to say about Tupac?
First of all, I would say, being that my grandchildren are listening to his lyrics today, and it were his lyrics were very impactful with my sons, my three sons. I mean, they listened to him. They watched the movies. I sat and watched the movies with them, though I was Raheem when Raheem got shot, but I didn't care for him then.
Oh yes, of course.
But
You know that was filmed in Harlem too, right?
was it? I didn't know that. But when I
I'm in Harlem, right around our neighborhood.
but when I really got to know him, then I went back to the movie and I could see the artistic work. And his voice sounded much older than what he was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Experiences really taught him. Yeah, Juice was the name of it.
Man, iconic movie. Iconic. Again, when we talk about his ascension into the iconic status that he sits in, we have to remember that Tupac is still being talked about, and he died in 1995. Right? That's 90. Well, we're talking 30 years. Right? And I didn't have to else. 30 years. And this young man is still, his impact is still felt by so many people. We gonna keep moving real quick because I wanna also play a couple more. So let's jump to Keep Your Head Up by Tupac. Keep your head up. We played Changes. You played Dear Mama. Let's go ahead and keep your head up, man. You gotta keep your head up.
Okay.
Keep your head up. Sure. What we do is we make sure, you know what I mean, that you get a good blast in terms of the list. Go ahead, Pop.
God is alive. That's not. Okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Wow, that's it. Well, I know you want to do it, Pop. Woman. You gotta come on, Pop. You understand what we're talking about. Sister Martha, I'm gonna let you speak before me or Pop. You go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I want to speak after Sister Martha.
Is this Sister Rashida?
Yeah, that's Sister Rashida. Go ahead, Sister Rashida.
I want to speak. I want to speak on the ooh child. You know that group came in. You know they were Muslims, right? They were very conscious people. They kind of figured out like, with ooh child, things are gonna get easier. When Tupac put that song with his spirit, oh my goodness, he changed the world. Yeah. Believe it. No one like him. No one will ever be like Tupac, you know? And but when that song came out with that mix, my goodness, he changed the whole culture of African Americans around the world. Yeah. Those who had left America and gone to Africa and thought they was leaving America, you know, just everywhere. You know, so I'm just excited that you're all doing Tupac today because he's still one of my favorite. And y'all gonna make me go out and look for some Tupac music. I don't even have any anymore. But I'll have to download it now. I'm gonna have to download it now. Thank you. But yes. He was he was a Gemini like
man, them daggone Geminis. Well, I tell you, Mr. Martha, would you like to come in now?
Now, I'm just going to say that's my baby. That's my baby.
You see that right there? You see that right there? Oh, I gotta speak to that. That's what I want to speak to. That man was all, in some ways, represented every single one of us as black men. Yes, especially in our community, because when you talk about what we understand about our community is not perfect. Our community is flawed and fragile. And that fragility is one of the things that Tupac was so, and what made him so attractive is he was fragile. He was able to leave the emotions on the floor in every aspect, whether it was his perfection, whether it was the perfection of lyrics he was dropping, or his performance, or the fragility of being involved in things that, inevitably became the reasons why folks in hip hop started to change the way in which they address battling one another and getting other people to kind of engage with the battle on a higher level. When you talk about being in this music industry and it's a mainstream space, because it's not like when you battle somebody on in a lounge or at a club or in the street somewhere. That's one level, but to take that level of viciousness and ferocity into a mainstream space, which happened between Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls from here on the East Coast and Tupac from the West Coast, that right there was a moment that we all realized that we needed to gather together. And Tupac's fragility is imperfectness was a reflection of the community and the young men in the community who still exist, who existed before him, existed with him, and continue to.
Well, Tupac had a social change that evolved with the community, and as mothers, we knew he used profanity. We knew he used bad language, but it was a emotion in the way he expressed the language that we understood, and we was feeling it because we all needed that social change, that injustice. He spoke for us. He spoke for the young men and the injustice of the society that we were dealing with, evolving at the time in a African American or Black Renaissance of culture. He brought it in and from every side. I mean, he was 360 degrees. Everybody loved him. And then he went into the movies and he helped the Caucasian make big money. He gave to everybody. He gave himself to everybody. He didn't leave anything out. And he was just love. He was just love. And then at the end, it seemed to me, he began to, and I think Michael Jackson did this too. I don't want to bring him up. But in the end, he turned around and it looked like he looked at all of us and say, help me. Mm-hmm. I want to go to another level in righteousness now. I've done all of this. I've done all of this. I want to go to, and then Maya Angelou came and said something about him not using profanity and all that, but she didn't get it. She missed it, and I don't want to talk about her. But what he did, nobody else could do, and looked like he turned around and just looked at the society of us and say, I want to go to another level of righteousness now, another consciousness. Come on, I want to stimulate this pineal gland, and I want you to stimulate your pineal gland, and we're going to go to a level in the chakras or whatever. He went to somewhere in the dimension, and we missed it at the end. Because we thought it was about the New York. We thought, because we was thinking it was about Biggie Small and Faye Evans and this and all that. It wasn't even
right.
It was. So we missed it. We missed it. I'll stop there.
the creative part that you mentioned about the 5 stair steps. Ooh, child, things are going to get easier. They were at the beginning of hip hop too. They were actually the transition because remember when hip hop started in the neighborhood, the first to embrace hip hop was the clubs. The clubs in hip hop, and the clubs started to put together shows that featured one of the was what was the name of that guy? These are the breaks. Bring it up, ready up. Curtis Blow. He was right there. Yeah, that's they did the club thing, and 5 Stair Steps was there with them at that time. That's how the transition came about right during that time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and our man. When you look at it, that's how the transition happened. It happened from the streets, and the clubs recognized it first. And when they recognized it, they started to. They realized that the people would come and see these people, and that's what they started to put them in the clubs to that degree.
Tremendous stuff, man. And again, a lot of these things, as Pop just mentioned, as Sister Martha, when you mentioned, Juice, Sister Nikita, when you talked about, the power of this particular song and how it's able to bring you to the neighborhood where we lived, where we grew up. And it was the point in which hip hop began to grow here in New York City, was right here where we lived, where we were being reared. And particularly for me as well, I remember Curtis Blow. I remember Dougie Fresh. These guys were walking up Dizzy B, Love Bug Saucy, all these guys we can name, Melly Mel, Grandmaster Fashion Fury. All these guys, they were in the neighborhood. We would see them. They weren't, some guys somewhere living in some mansion somewhere. They lived in the block. They lived in the neighborhood. And so again, Tupac was one of those guys who truly wanted to bring that essence, right? He wanted to connect the mainstream, the thing that people were seeing around the world, with what it was that was actually happening, because that's what the rappers in the neighborhoods are actually doing. They're really talking about their lives and what they're experiencing, and then sharing that with the world. But when the world grabs onto it, it's because they feel the same way in terms of what they're experiencing. Right. And I'm not saying they're all experiencing poverty or stress or, having to deal with certain issues we may deal with in the community at times, but just the feelings, right, of inadequacy, of not being able to change the world around them because their voices aren't being heard. And again, this is what we do here. We bring the voice to the voices. Again, let me make sure that we are clear. These brothers who we talk about in quick hits, and we're going to talk about in quick quotes, especially these two brothers, have gone on and are no longer here with us, but their impact has been felt across the globe. Again, the list of Tupac Shakur songs includes "Me Against the World" and "So Many Tears," and there's "Hail Mary" is one of my favorites. I actually spit something over "Hail Mary," which is an incredible beat. But he just brought something else to the game, and we wanted to celebrate him and bring that list. And I'm so glad that you're going to go and grab some of those songs and re-listen to them and have that energy in your space to share it with others.
He used the name Machiavelli. A lot of people didn't know who Machiavelli was. The philosopher. He was deep. He was so deep. I will stop there because I'm going insane. I love that. But just to use Machiavelli. Machiavelli.
Prince. And listen, The Prince, one of my favorite books. I've read it as well. And of course, my name is Kivel. Shortened it into calling me Vel, which without a shadow of a doubt, I have used that as many times to say, hey, Kivel E. My name is Kivel E. What I would do is I would say, if you want to disrespect me, you can't mock Kivel E. So Machiavelli, one of those things that I definitely connect to.
See,
Whoa! Say the birth, say a piece of birth too. Hold on. Let me see. Walk with me through the life of a man among men. Time to hold the line. There's a land to defend. Get your guns ready. While I train with your men, what he's called an Armageddon if the world won't end. The planet won't stop spinning. The sun won't darken. Develop like Malcolm with the patience of Martin. God again provides like George Washington Carver. Simple blessings. As I pray to the Carver. They said it was great in no robber. You're speaking Nirvana. I'm teaching that through the nation's Carver. I'm speaking to you through generations of John can't say no more. I gotta please no Father. Gotta serve my people like I'm Marcus Garvey. Teaching the world peace like Mahatma Gandhi. Any which way I can continue, and of course, you know, we all grew up in that stage where social activism was the art. Machiavelli, if you want to. Machiavelli, if you want to. You'll never be able to. Big, big, big. Yes. We do this thing, and that's what we love hip hop. We truly do. We're not just these kind of like fringe people. We are definitely a part of what has grown this culture. With that being said, and I'm so glad we're having a wonderful conversation, we're going to move to somebody else in our next segment, which is quick quotes. We're going to talk about someone who has also been transcended, but for the Latino culture, and his name was Big Pun. Big Pun was a rapper out of the Bronx who joined forces with another rapper, Puerto Rican rapper named Fat Joe. Fat Joe is, iconic at this point because he's been able to push himself into mainstream and has done so many things. But he has a squad that's called the Terror Squad. And Terror Squad was his record label that he developed and was able to sign Big Pun. Big Pun, unfortunately, was a really heavy guy who just when his album began to go, and he was a platinum rapper. He sold platinum albums. He was platinum albums that this guy was about to blow the roof off. His lyrical capabilities, though, is wild. Wasn't a gimmick, wasn't a trick. The same way like with Tupac. It was his ability to put words together. And with that, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight some of his lyrics from this song, which wasn't his main song, but was on Fat Joe's album, where he was on a song called John Blaze. And what he said was this: I reign subliminal inside your visual. Try to supply your physical with my spiritual. Side of this lyrical, I'll appear in your dreams like Freddie do. No kidding you. If I stuttered, I would still on you. Right? Now, what is important about that is the lyrical presentation, right? His flow, and this is what made Pun different than other people, is that Pun had a different type of style, which was kind of like short and choppy, but well organized in terms of the thought process. And so, range subliminal inside your visual. Try to supply your physical with my spiritual. So I'm inside of your vision, and then I try to supply you with my physical presence, but also with my spiritual. And it's inside of my lyrical. And I appear in your dreams like Freddie do. When he said that, man, and he's like, listen, I appear like a nightmare to you. And it's no kidding you. Right? These things, flow-wise, are so impressive. He was and has been considered one of the greatest rappers. And he had such a short career. But to be in that level of conversation is really an incredible feat for an individual who only had one really industry album. If you give me give it a second, man, can you find that first? And make sure it's the clean version.
Again, what's the name of it?
It's called John Blaze. It's from Fat Joe.
John
On this particular, right, and on this particular song, Nas, one of the greatest MCs, is on this. Fat Joe is on this. What's my guy? Break Down from Wu-Tang Clan. Method Man from Wu-Tang Clan, along with Big Pun. I mean, it's just a collection of incredible MCs. Let's try to see if we can get to the part where Pun is rhyming and see if we can find that really stuff.
Okay, so we gotta hear all of this guy. Go ahead.
No. Let's get the Pun. We want that part with Pun. You were right there too. This is not. Now they didn't learn. Wait a minute, this ain't no. That's not outside. Oh, okay. Love. It's the next option to best. It's all back is the ready. Between that and things of life. It's better. When you've done better, you have to take the find it in the place of the light. It's very important. Everyone thinks that it's not. It's really not. But I know you don't stop that. So who's this, Val? I think that's fun. And this is the form in the top. Some of them say, you're going to go out and find them in the world. It's the good show. It's not perfect. Like trying to get into even started out too. Probably right here, boy. Yo, listen.
Yeah.
This man's slow. Oh my God. Yo, I love flow. Let me tell you. Let me say something about that flow. That flow right there is like this flow. What's it? Brother Gucci still saying loopy about goopies and roofies. Jury trying to run a gang like Tukey. You can't suit me. We open measures taken against pretenders who never knew Cavera were more like Melba. No matter, I'm actually your back is happy. You think how they have to train you back because half of y'all is slackers, the other pieces and decent. How you playing deepest and cheap and keeping themselves out there. See that flow right there? When you start flowing like that and you breaking down words and you keep that flow going like that, that's impeccable flow. Massive flow. Go to the mountain and learn how to rap with massive flow. That's not so simple. The cat was moving around with a hat, and then I was standing in the back. Then I had to go get a jack. Yeah. No. We're talking the highest level of MC skill. And this is what we do in Quick Quotes. We celebrate lyricism. We celebrate the fact that someone can take these words and compose them into an order that is able to go on to music and be presented in the flawless way that this man presented that lyrical flow. That was flawless and so intricate that when you look at the lyrics on a piece of paper, or if you go online and look at the lyrics, the way it's written is so impressive. You know that he has to take his time to craft that, to present that to the world. And that's what lyricism is supposed to be.
Exactly. I would agree with you. And I agree with it in his lyrics like this. Tabbat yada abila habin whatever. Ma'agna anhu malahu kasab. Say it's louder than that. I have one rock to who hamalatawa. Fiji have a little bit message. In that Nasrallahi walfa. Wara'aitan nas yakuluna bidinilahi ahwaja. Bisabbi bihamdi rabbika wasafir. That's what you call lyrics and flow. Might be in another language. But you know, when you understand you understand
I mean, what? Mr. Mark, I know, you know what I mean, that you can speak to that a little bit more. You want to jump in right here and just give us a little understanding specifically around, Arabic and the way in which that language flows.
If you're on mute, it's just
Mr. Mark,
he might be a little busy right now.
Well, anyway, I appreciate it, man. And of course, we always come back to the fact that, this is not something new. Being lyrical, having a way to put words together to have an impact and present a message is not a new thing at all for our humanity. This is something that, of course, in hip hop is unique regarding the way in which it's been placed over music and then presented in the way that we present in hip hop. So incredible lyrics. And once again, we lost him. He died, I believe, of a heart attack. He was a very heavy guy. You know, at one point, I believe he was almost 400 pounds. And on one of his songs, man, it's called "It's So Hard." After he died, it was released and it was celebrated all over the place, man. And at the beginning of the song, the first thing he said is, I would, I said, "Liv, I lost 100 pounds. I'm trying to live. I'm trying to live." And unfortunately, he wasn't able to continue his wonderful career as a descendant. But we will always remember him as one of the incredible MCs of the generation. And this here, again, the quote right here on New Day Community Radio and American Muslim 360 and the on the digital experience. Let me move on right now, man. To some man that my father loves. I know I love too, man. This is U Dance. And U Dance is where we try to celebrate the physical movement in hip hop, right? Usually through break dancing, but also through hip hop choreography. And this group right here, the Jabberwockies, are one of the most incredible hip hop dance groups that ever seen. You know about the Jabberwockies?
Oh, do I know about the Jabberwockies? Tell you that I'm critical. I'm very critical of artists. They were powerful. They came on with their mask, the mask that they came on with, man. You know, you didn't even know who they were, man. But all you did was watch them perform, and they were excellent in their presentation. As far as dance was concerned, they had they were very skilled, choreographed together, synchronized to a great degree, and very creative. Yeah, I really know the Jabberwockies. They are one of the great hip hop groups, especially when you come talking about a group. We're not talking about individuals doing it, but when you talk about a group doing it, yeah, Jabberwockies have definitely established themselves as one of the best. And if you want to know how to spell their name, in case you want to, in case you want to look them up, it's Jabba, Jabba, Wok, Wockeez, Jabberwockies, Jabberwockies. You can go to YouTube and you can see them.
Man, let me tell you what's crazy about the Jabberwockies, man. And this again is about hip hop. The first time I saw the Jabberwockies, they were on a show. I love dance. I've never been a dancer. My father, though, he was a dancer.
Yes.
Him and my mother. They had a dance crew.
Yeah.
Right? So I always wanted to dance, but never really got into it. But I love watching dance shows. So one of the dance shows that I watched when I was a little bit younger was called America's Best Dance Crew. This was in 2008. There was a show on MTV called America's Best Dance Crew, and this is where we, America, discovered the Jabberwockies. You could go and check out, as Pop said, you know, if you have the spelling of it, just put in the Jaba and it's gonna pop up right away. And go and look at some of their videos on YouTube from America's Best Dance Crew. I'm telling you, we were in such awe. Not only were they able to do hip hop choreography, but they were able to do mainstream choreography, and they put it together in their presentations. And I tell you, they had one presentation where they did Michael Jackson. Don't stop till you get enough. Like, oh my goodness! When I tell you, they were all like Michael Jackson. It was like watching a group of Michael Jacksons dance at once. It was like, this is crazy. How are you this in sync with one another that you can do this? And then they would stop, and one person would pop out and then start doing something, you know, break dancing, pop locking, or they start break dancing and spinning on their head. There's one I love so much. I put it on one of my platforms years ago. Was this guy at the end of one of their performances was spinning on his head. And when they finished the performance, he spent on his head for another 15 seconds. And the whole crowd just was going. I mean, the Jabberwockies, man, I don't know what to say, man.
Their face look like the mime. You know, they had the little mime look.
Yes, that's what it looked like. Yeah. Yeah.
The mass movement amplified the unity. Jabberwockies turn anonymity into identity. They provide choreography to speak louder than their faces. Their legacy isn't just dance, it's discipline, synchronization, and trust. That was what they were doing. You know, these guys trusted each other.
I think that's what you call divine rhythm, divine movement, you know, because they were so in sync with each other. You know, they knew each other. It was just beautiful. Wow.
And again, some of the rules that, yes, this is the thing about the Jabberwockies. The Jabberwockies are so famous, they have a residency in Las Vegas.
What?
They were from where? San Diego or San Francisco? They was from California?
I believe they were some guys from California. And the interesting part about it is they were a mixture of culture. So I think there were like two black guys who were in the group. Then there were Filipino brothers, right? And so now I believe the Jabberwockies are so renowned that, especially for the, as you said, the mime mask and the white gloves, so it doesn't show you what culture they are, doesn't show you who's black, who's white, who's Asian, who's whatever. That nowadays they have teams of Jabberwockies who perform all over the world. And so Jabberwockies is a business at this point. They so iconic, again, like a Tupac, again, like a Pun, right? These guys are iconic to the point where they are now able to make money all over the world. And it's not just the guys who originated it, but it is people. There are people who have committed themselves to the discipline. As you said, the divine rules. They have committed it.
The first time I heard the word Jabberwocky, you know where it was? And Alice.
I know where it was, but go ahead.
In Wonderland. The Jabberwocky. Wonderland.
Wait, I know where I thought you was gonna go. I thought you were gonna go to Star Wars, where they actually had the little people called the Jabberwockies.
Yeah, but Alice, back in the day, when we were little, Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was the Wonderland is so deep. If Alice in Wonderland, if you ever get into the story, it's just like the Wizard of Oz with the poppy. If you get into the essence of what they were doing and what they were meaning, it'll blow you away. But you know, she went into the little pool, the Mad Hatter. Remember that? So the Jabberwocky was the thing she had to defeat. That monster thing, whatever it was.
Wow.
Now I want to see that. I gotta go back and read.
Well, also too, check out The Empire Strikes Back, because with Billy D. Williams, they have the little furry guys called the Jabberwockies.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. So it's an incredible call, again, across generations, across lines. Listen, Jabberwocky is amazing. I want to go to this last piece, man, because sometimes we don't get here. But I want to make sure we celebrate graffiti today, man, because this lady here, this female graffiti artist, her name is Sue Fly. And Sue Fly, she blends letters into statements and walls into conversations. Her work pushes back against invisibility, not asking permission, but just claiming space. And in culture, that often sidelines women writers. But her presence is the message. And again, her name is True Fly. Put up some stuff from True Fly. Let them know what it is.
Well, I'll tell you this here. I'm looking at her stuff and seeing that this looks like the stuff that's actually in Penn Station down there. And Amtrak Hall, I mean, the whole thing all around has this kind of art in it. And it's what I thought when I saw it. When I thought this, because like it looks like people from Ecuador. It doesn't have any Europeans in the art. That's around the total. When you go to get on Amtrak, that whole place right there is surrounded by that. And I was like, there's no European artists in here. There's no black artists in here. All I could see is this, like Ecuadorian or South Africa type of art style that's still there to this day. So if you go down station Moynihan Hall in the Amtrak part, that's what you will see. You'll see this kind of art.
And let me give you a little information on her. She is Ecuadorian. She's an Ecuadorian New York City artist. Her name is Maria Castillo, aka Too Fly, and she is recognized for her hard and fluid style and signature love warrior characters, which are female characters that have these bright, brilliant colors. They're essentially based around faces, and she just makes it stands out and jumps off the wall at you. Again, in a male-dominated art form like graffiti, these moments where you have a female artist who's able to transcend and push into the space, she has been one, and she's one of the few in the art world to step into the male-dominated graffiti scene in the early 90s and help pave the way for others. She's also a designer, a social entrepreneur. She's a founder and curator of Ladies Love Project, which allows for a collective that goes out and paints in different places and represents artists of color in urban art and design. Also, her works have appeared in books like Graffiti Women, Outdoor Gallery, and magazines like Juxtapose, Latina, and Mary Claire. Her paintings have been exhibited in places like the Gates Projects, Wynwood Walls. And let me mention this about Wynwood Walls. Last year, my father, myself, and Bill Blast went down to
Miami.
We were down there for a time to be grateful. While we were there at a time to be grateful, my brother and I went out into Miami and were kind of exploring and found this place called Wynwood Walls, not even understanding the gravity of the place Wynwood Walls. Many of the graffiti artists that I've talked to, including when I was just performing out at Here and Now Cultural Space in Brooklyn, over on 205 Central Avenue, where there was a graffiti presentation, a graffiti papyrus show, with graffiti pieces for sale. Many of the graffiti artists I spoke to, when I mentioned Wynwood Walls, man, these guys began to tell me about the history of people going down to Miami to contribute to Wynwood Walls in terms of graffiti artists, similar to what we had talked about some time ago on our show about the Graffiti Hall of Fame that exists on 106th Street here in Harlem, on 106th Street and Park Avenue. It's one of the places that graffiti artists who are of any worth wind up going to and contributing because it's a historical landmark. And so again, Too Fly has been a part of the culture since the 90s and has been impressive in the way in which she's been able to push into the culture and showcase what women artists are able to do. With that being said, we want to close out our Let's Talk piece segment, but it's always a blessing to do what we do.
Before we close out, I found an interesting short that features where people were talking about hip hop. And this was on the Bill Maher show. And a person that was on there, and this was at the very beginning of hip hop and the way that people kind of understood it. And they were trying, Bill Maher was trying to explain it. But let you hear what DMX said. So it's not what rap is about. It's not the only thing rap is about. Rap is like,
It used to be about letting white people know what it was like in the black world, and that was a good thing. Letting everyone know what it's like everywhere. Well, some of them, because that was everywhere. It's not just in the black world. You know where they come from? They come from China. I don't know where they come from. They come from. They come from. They know. I'm trying to rap and look at this kid. You know, no way he was like a rap. You know, he's trying to do a thing, and God bless him. You know, you never heard the one from Beverly Hills. There you go. And now you know.
And once again,
Man,
rapping is only about expressing where you are from. Remember, again, there are 5 components in hip hop: DJing, MCing, b-boying, graffiti, and knowledge. There are 5 components in hip hop. Right? So people who take up a component as a passion, they don't have to be a color. It's not about color. It's about the passion to do the work, to become great at something. Right? That's what it is. So again, as Pop said, when Bill Maher said, you know, it was about informing white people about what was going on in black communities, the rise of Eminem. Eminem wasn't in a white community where, you know, he needed to be informed. He was in an impoverished community, living inside of a trailer park, and he had something to say. And having that thing to say has made him arguably one of the top 5, maybe top 10 greatest rappers of all time. Had nothing to do with color. Had to do with dedication, commitment, his word to be great at the art form. And that's something that people always need to remember when we talk about hip hop. Hip hop is a global art form and genre that all people are engaged in, and that is why it dominates today's cultural landscape to many degrees. With that being said, everyone, we're gonna close out on this wonderful segment, man. Of course, let's talk real quick. You can always catch us right here celebrating hip hop culture and all that it brings to the world every single Sunday from 11 to 2 p.m. We are here on the Quick Hitters digital experience. You can always go and check out some of the things that we present here on the show on my digital platforms, which are youtube.com at Mr. Kivel, MISTERKIVEL, or you can go to Instagram and catch it at Instagram.com /MISTERKIVEL. Again, Mr. Kivel at YouTube and, of course, on Instagram. We also want to mention, before we go into the next segment, right, I want to mention that we also have what is called Quick Hitters Educational Experience. And if you would like to see what we do in terms of bringing these 5 components and what they do and how they represent us to the world, you can go to quickhittersexperience.com. quickhittersexperience.com to check out what we do with young people, and you can experience hip-hop education for yourself. With that being said, it's time to move into our next segment.
bring in the next segment, which is going to be the conversation, the experience, and the movement. And segment 1 is the conversation. Every election cycle, every new year, every reform announcement, we're promised change. But 2026 isn't asking for hope. It's asking for receipts. It doesn't arrive loudly. It shows up in policy follow-through, classroom conditions, housing stability, creative freedom, and economic access. It doesn't show up in war. It doesn't show up in the invasion of other countries. What are you doing for our country? That's what it is. Well,
I'm going to open the floor up and let the contributors, man, our other co-hosts to some degree, so a major degree, I want to say, speak to this particular thing that popped in.
Sister Martha, Sister Rashida.
Now, you have to repeat it for me.
Okay. Every election cycle, every new year, every reform announcement, we're promised change. But 2026 isn't asking for hope, it's asking for receipts. Change doesn't arrive loudly, it shows up in policy follow through. Classroom conditions, housing stability, creative freedom, and economic access. It doesn't show up in war. It doesn't show up in the invasion of other countries.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Praise be to Almighty God. I will say it this way, and about time. Assessments need to be made to see the impact, to make the impact felt, not only felt, but known, identify it, identifiable impact. And when we are fed from politicians, when we're fed the same story, we're looking for the politician to be the answer. Unfortunately, I'm the same groupie, was looking for the politician to be the answer. They come with their promises, but it's not about that. Go back to John Kennedy. May Allah be pleased with him, grant him high station in paradise, forgive him his errors. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. As you vote on representatives, be ready to help unfold what that representative presented and bring it into action.
Beautiful. There is no question. There is no question that there is about it's an action. That words on paper are words on paper. They're ink that dries on paper. There has to be a commitment to the words that dry on the paper. Right? There has to be a consensus that we agree that the words that dry on this paper will be the words that we will agree to follow as a unit, as a group. And as we discussed in Real Quick Sports, when we talk about basketball teams, there has to be a commitment to one another, not just to an individual's goal, but to everyone's goal of winning. Everyone wins at the end of the day, not just one person. Right. So they push the one person out into the atmosphere of the individual who is the leader. And that comes back to what we're saying here. Yeah, you can push out someone as a leader, but the leader needs those who have seen what has been presented as policy.
Going back into La girl, what did you do yesterday that you
cannot have that be something that creates conflict? Because again, the conflict is not what that should create. It should create camaraderie. That is the reason you write these things down on pieces of paper. But you also have to allow for people to have practical results that come from that agreement on that piece of paper. So show me how that's going to, again, affect my life when it comes to education. Show me how that's going to affect my life when it comes to how I'm able to sustain myself in living, or how I'm able to actually procure the necessary revenue to support the life that I need to come out here and then push for action around some bigger issue. And that inevitably becomes the way in which you build a following of people. And of course, in the Muslim community, we know, especially in the Black Muslim community, it is clear that that was part of the reason why the Islamic community here in America grew so fast, continues to have the amount of influence that it has all across this country.
One thing that we have come to understand, one thing that we understand and we'll never forget, and we should never forget, that this is the United States of America. That means that this country started with 13 colonies that came over here and established. And when they became states, this constitution was made so that everyone that was in this country had certain rights. No matter what, you didn't have rights as far as just your state was concerned, but you could go to any state and you would have the same rights. They also had the Congress and the Senate. And when they made the Congress and the Senate, that was so that you could have representatives represent your state, your individual state where you live. Go there and represent your state so that your congressman or your senator could go there and ask for things from the federal government, these offices that had been set up for the good of of all the people in the United States. It wasn't no individual thing, it was for all the people. Why? Because what we did as citizens, we went and paid money to the government so that the government could establish programs that could help all of the people. That's why you had the SNAP program. That's not why you had health care. And that's why you had all of that, because it's to serve everyone in the United States. So when a government doesn't do that, they are breaking their promise to the people who are here. I'll just leave it like that.
Practice what you preach.
Oh, granted.
That's it. Just practice what you preach. When the government said they're going to do a thing, the people have to make sure we make them live up to their promise. And that's why we put them there. And a lot of times we expect them to just get there and think they're going to, they know what to do. But a lot of times these politicians are new. They don't have no experience. They don't, some of them just coming out of college, political science students. But when we believe in them, and for those who have the experience and are seasoned, when we believe in them and they get there, we have to make sure, even with the local ones, we have to make sure that we do our part too. Not just make you live up to this, but what can we do in our community? What can we do in the city to help you fulfill this? Because we're all in this together. I'll stop.
And therein lies the thing that I think when we talk about the access to things, right? The access to good education, the access to housing, the access to speaking freely, the access to support oneself through having an opportunity to join into an occupation or a career, right? Or start a business. Any of these things. These things require information. And I will share with you something that...
And participation.
Participation, of course. I went to a small business, a New York City small business solutions office in the Bronx, right? Because again, I'm pushing my business, I'm growing my business, the quick hitters experience, right? And so I went to talk with a person at the office. And as we were going through all of the paperwork and all the things I needed to provide it to get this certification I'm working on, he asked me for an identification, and the identification he asked me for was a passport. And so I was a little confused. I said, why would you need my passport? He says, oh, well, where are you from? I said, I'm from America. I have an American ID. I have a New York State driver's license. And he says, you're American? I said, yeah. He said, wow, you're the first American that I've seen. Most people who come here are people from other countries. And it just blew my mind at that moment to think that in our country, where Pop eloquently stated that these agencies have been put in place and people have paid to put these agencies in place, as you, Sister Rashida, has mentioned, that you have to have the information and then you have to participate. A large number of people who are American, whose families and ancestors died for these things, we don't use them. Other people come to this country and find the information and use it. And that's why folks grow. That's why those communities are doing better than our communities in many ways. It's because there is no interaction with the information. So the information becomes important. It's not just that we're there, that you have it, that you have the opportunity because, yes, America is the land of opportunity, and yes, people of color fought for the opportunity to be able to participate in this country to a certain degree. But many people, still to this day in our community, do not go and seek the information necessary to be able to participate and stay away.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Walaikum
Alhamdulillah. This is Kareem Muhammad from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You know, I agree with you, brother, because that's what was happening down here in Louisiana at one time. And so what we did, just what we did, we took action. And we started reading, you know, about that information. Because they do have that. If you go, all of this that was going on right now, they have that, but you have to go. You know where it's at? It's in your they have like you have city councils and each county, you like parish, they have like committees you go to like that. That is where you go. And I'm gonna tell you how it works too. They have so many they have to give out to a community. So if you're not there, and you, Rashida, you were there with us too. You was there. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, if you're not there, then sometimes you don't get in. You don't know. And sometimes they keep it themselves, or do they give it to some family member, or they use it, or give it to the next community, or either. And then if you don't use it, then the immigrants they takes over. That's why they advertise it. They take over and use it. Because you're not using it, and they got to get rid of it somewhere. It's on your tax. It has to do with taxes, and they have to get rid of it. And so they don't. Then they give it to them. But you have to, you know. So and we just have to let our people know because it's out there, and that's why we used to have like committees for your community. Like you live in that community. I remember even at one time I was talking about that too. We used to have. You have a community meeting, you know, like that for your that knows what neighborhood association. That's right, and what laws make up that in that community. You'd be surprised. You probably don't even have to pay rent. So, one time I found out they was putting $800 out there. You only had to pay no more than $150 if you was a certain age and stuff. I have a whole lot of children.
Yes, right. And
our tax, and look, that's all I want to say is this to be quiet. And our taxes pay for it. You ain't getting this for free. Our taxes, we paying for this. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. That's right, Sister Quran. I tell you, every time you talk, I truly appreciate it because you are so correct in the way in which, again, there have been sacrifices made, and people were so adamant that this was what we needed to grow. And yet, people have moved so far away from the actual practical reason why these things were enacted. Again, coming back to what Pop was saying about policy. Once you write something on a piece of paper and the ink dries, it's not necessarily that they're going to share this piece of paper with you. How many people know what is in an executive order that has come down from Donald Trump? Or even recently, here in New York, the new mayor, Mamdani, signed 3 executive orders. How many people know what is inside of the executive order? And so again,
Canceled orders too. He canceled Adams' orders too, the executive orders.
Oh, you mean you're talking about how he revoked the anti-Semitism?
Yeah,
law, the anti-Semitism law that Adams had put in place. Again, and the reason why is because, and let me speak to this. I don't know if you ladies know, but Mamdani, he wants to be an active man. Meaning, he wants to be out and about. He doesn't want to sit in the office. He wants to get involved. So he revoked a law that Adams put in place that said that people who are a part of the government in New York could not participate in protests regarding a particular issue. So by him revoking that, he is now able, Mayor Mamdani, to go out and be a part of protests. actions that he believes need the power of the mayor involved. So now this is why, again, this is what I'm saying, right? And the reason why I know that, ladies and gentlemen, is because when I heard about it, went and read about it. And now I understand why he did what he did in this executive order. I would not have understood that. And say some casual person who heard that on the news or the radio, who had already had certain issues or concerns about Mamdani, heard that he revoked anti-Semitic laws that had been put in place by Mayor Adams. Oh, immediately, he's a Muslim, he's attacking the Jewish community. No, that's not what he's doing. What he's doing is he's pulling back laws that now allow for someone who has a particular belief system inside of city government, who was elected by people who knew his belief system, could participate in those particular issues and front and center.
Yeah.
As a participant in pushing for change.
Yeah, but that's a double-edged.
What's wrong with that?
It's a double-edged sword.
It may be, but don't you want the people who, as we just said, the people who put things out there, who talk about what it is that should be, who they write these things on pieces of paper and they drive, don't we want those people who put those things in place to be a part of what it is that they put out there for the rest of us to get involved in?
It sounds good.
It's what you preach.
And yeah, but that's
practice what you preach.
There's the other part that goes with it, because what really destroyed Eric Adams was mainstream media. That the media will have an opportunity to talk about the things that people who work for the city actually participate in. So they're going to have a chance to, for when they see Mamdani participating in particular protests, et cetera, they're going to write about it. And they're going to, in order to get the people to read it, they're going to go, if it bleeds, it leads, and they're going to be negative about it, just like they did with Eric Adams. That's why it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, I understand what you're saying to that degree, but that other part is in there too.
I also believe that there are two different. Adams was different than Mamdani. Mamdani is telling you what he feels, how he feels, and is moving how it is that he feels. Now, there are some concerns about Mamdani. Let's not ignore those concerns, right? But at the same time, Eric Adams was out here pushing one thing, doing the other. Right? Well, his situation. I'll be very specific. When we looked at him, we saw a black man in power as the mayor of New York City. We didn't just see a man, and I know people always want to take race out of it and make it seem like, we should just all be about humankind, and that is true. But we also have a paradigm that we live in. And so when we saw Eric Adams be inaugurated as the mayor of New York City, we often, any group of people that are a part of a culture, he's a black man, we looked at him and said, he's going to do for us as black people. That was not a shadow of a doubt, right? But when we come to what the end of his term looked like, and this is the reason why he's gone, is that he then turned a blind eye to what we believe he should be doing and joined forces with Donald Trump. And that, for us, was a problem. Right? So he went from someone we believed was going to represent us as New Yorkers, as black New Yorkers, and the concerns we had, New Yorkers, and he went over to Donald Trump, who we know does not have the concerns of our people.
I don't think that
is where he messed up. And again, many people have their own opinion. This is mine. I'm over me. And it's fine to disagree. And I just wanted to go back to Mamdani and say Mamdani is not saying any of those. Mamdani is telling you, listen, I am a progressive. I am a democratic socialist. I am someone who believes that this city needs to change completely. I want to be a different kind of leader than Eric Adams. and the administration that he had, which inevitably was crumbling because of corruption, because of a lack of being able to communicate a consistent message to folks that made them believe he was supporting them in the proper way. And in the end, he decided himself, because he didn't believe in what Joe Biden was doing in terms of supporting him regarding the immigration influx into New York, he decided the best strategy was to move over toward Donald Trump. And when he did that, you could not, in a state that supports, that goes blue, that runs blue, in New York State, you could not make that leap. He did it. He threw himself on the sword, and that inevitably is why he is gone. That's the difference between him and Mamdani, and we will see if Mamdani inevitably makes that switch as well and believes he will fall on the same sword if he decides to move away from the people, because the power lies with the people.
Yeah, well,
And he's Semitic too.
yeah, well, I will only say this here. I will say that, Eric Adams had a lot of challenges, and one of the challenges had to do with the immigration policy. It had to do with crime in the city that was being perpetrated by those immigrants that came in, that there were a lot of arrests were being done by those who came into the country. And so when the suggestion came from the Trump administration that, let us come and go into your jail system and get these people and take them out of here and take them back to their country. The mayor agreed with that, which what I thought was a good thing. It wasn't a bad thing to do, because these were people that had been caught and captured, that were committing crimes, that were from another country illegally here. When Texas and those people here, millions of people here in New York had to spend billions of dollars to house them because this was supposed to be a sanctuary city. It was a position that he was put in that messed him up. When they came up with these flaws that they said that Mayor Adams had, about flying airlines and getting tickets, these upgrades, and they made a big deal out of that. But the thing is, they couldn't get them on it, and they couldn't get them on it, so they went after the other African Americans that was in his administration. That's what they did. Eric Adams put them there. He put the African Americans in there, to run his administration. But the thing is that they came after these people came after him. And so, I think that that's the thing and then mainstream media really went after Eric Adams. The city council went after Eric Adams. So, it was a whole lot of things that brought him down. And then the Democratic Party did not give him matching funds, which they were supposed to do, but they didn't. And because he didn't have the funds, he couldn't go ahead and run. So I think that he was a good mayor, but I want to see what the same challenges are going to come up against Mamdani. And the thing is that the sister said, and the thing which is going to be not necessarily be a plus one, but a negative, but he's a Semite. He's a Muslim. And I think that they're going to give him a couple of weeks, but they're going to go after him. Go ahead, Dale.
Again, I think that there is a lot of information out there, and the best thing to do is go and get your own read on all of these things, right? And come up with your own position, your own awareness of the circumstances around Eric Adams and the situation with Mamdani. But I want to ask a question: has there been a change in your state, in your city? Has there been a change of mayor, governor, senator, congressman? And how do you feel about what has happened and what they're doing to represent you and your constituents, your family, your neighborhood, in terms of the issues that really matter to you? Sister Martha, Sister Rashida, Sister...
I'm in Louisiana, like Sister Ka'an. We're in the same city. And one of the things, our politicians are politician friendly. You can get to the politician. And every Tuesday you can go down to City Hall to be in the chamber with with the council people and the mayor, and you can hear and you can voice your opinion. But I do want to say that the library and because the city library is not the way it used to be. The library give out so much information, and they have workshops on almost anything that the city is producing, anything politically. And Baton Rouge is a college town. We have LSU, we have Southern University, and so and you have a lot of powerful Black women in the city. So they have grants and things for, if you want to know, they have grants for Black women who want to move to the country and do farmland. Money for that. You don't have the Black women who want to do that many of them. So it passes us by because we're not interested. But the library will provide so much information. They give out seeds. If you want to start a garden right now, you can go to the library. They're giving out seeds for January, February. So we just have to stay in. We as community people, we have to stay connected and stay involved. I'll stop there.
And I do a tag team with you on that, as well as here specifically in Florida. You know, Florida reigns red. It RAINS red, and it REIGN red. So much so that I think I know the Democrats are their backs are on the rope at more times than necessary because of the way they're constantly uh, asking for dollars, and at the same time, and I must say they have a system now that which I love, which they use a lot of the younger students from the universities and all, and the university students. Florida, has campuses in Tallahassee, in Daytona, and in Miami, and in Tampa, primarily in Fort Lauderdale, but the primary ones are the ones I called first. And those mayors of those cities are, well, they're finding themselves tag teaming with other mayors, and I'm speaking of the Democratic mayors in other states. So they're wanting to follow a system that they already are saying we're beat before we even start. But now we have an African American that lives in Tampa that is putting his name on the list to run for governor, and he's already laying out his platform. Now, I think the worst thing to do is to talk against the other person's policy, but talk for yours, as well as on the areas in education, in economics, in how many, just do the comparison. And I think many of them are doing this. I talked with a young man who said he was going to run for mayor. He was actually Ubering me home, and he introduced himself to me. I said, "Oh, okay, I'll look for your name then, and look for you to be more." And so a lot of St. Petersburg, with its atrocities from yesteryears, the mayor, who is African American right now, has connected with the developers. And St. Petersburg, look, if you came in the 1990s, it looks nothing like the 1990s now. It is truly becoming a little Tampa, a little New York, a little slice of New York. But it's more young people. You can see that their direction has been integrating young people downtown. So the high rises are downtown, and the businesses are open, and they have a lot of them have the storefronts with the table and chairs. I always thought that was a giver. Alhamdulillah. So I stop right there.
Alhamdulillah, I appreciate you for bringing up the message, bringing that point, and I want to jump on that point. Is that these younger people are coming into these environments, and they have a different mindset around what they want, and also how they're going to get it. Right? They are not looking at it in the same way as the prior group of individuals who may have lived in the community or addressed issues with certain actions. They are using their power, and the reason why is because they're reading the contract. They're questioning systems and they also have alternatives. It's not like they have to stick to one thing. It's not like they have to go with this one group. They are saying, I want options. Show me options, and then I will make a decision. But I'm no longer going to be loyal to one group or the other just because my mother was, or father was, or grandmothers, or aunts, or brothers, or sisters. The decision that I am making is one that has to do with my concerns and the future that I want to see happen for myself, for my family, for my community, and for the world that I'm privileged to live in. And this is where we're seeing the thing. Mamdani is 34 years old. Mamdani has, if you go on the internet, Mamdani used to be a rapper. Right? So he's got songs on the internet where he's rapping. It's incredible. But it is a connection to a hip hop culture, a group of young people who have grown up hip hop. Right? The fact that their mayor can come out and say a rhyme makes them excited. I mean, it's incredible. Now, again, you have to go back to the policy and see how he is going to address the issues that practically affect a city and its citizen needs. Yet at the same time, it's important to have slogans. It's important to have connections with groups of people aren't just from the standpoint of, I know I can help you, but I have been with you in those places, experiencing those things. Now, one of the questions that we have to ask, that Mamdani was born in Uganda. His mother is a well-known film producer from the South Asian area. He was raised in Uganda until he was 7. They moved to New York City, and he's been raised here since he was 7. He definitely comes from an elitist space. He is not someone who comes from the neighborhood, right? Of course, raised in the city, but not in neighborhoods that we live in primarily. But he has connected with lots of folks from the messages. And in that, he was able to grab a coalition of younger people who were able to then put him in the position where he is the mayor. This is only day 4. But I will tell you that on day 2, he wound up at a building in, I believe, the Bronx, where he announced 3 initiatives. One of those initiatives was to reinstate the Office of Tenant Support. I believe it was the Office of Tenant Rights. He reinstated that office, and folks were and are truly excited about that, especially with the housing issues that exist in New York City. And he initiated 2 other task forces in order to move forward, again, on his major platform, which was housing affordability, who are now tasked to get that agenda moving and to push it towards productivity. And so, again, I think that a lot of these younger people are going to be looking to younger leaders who are going to inevitably have to face some of these older politicians and what do we call them, tenured individuals who will not want to give up power. And so this is going to be an interesting year, I think, here in New York City and around the nation, because what Mamdani has done here, I think, is what the Democrats and, of course, the Republicans and many groups that want to be influential will start to do, and that is look more to younger leadership.
And we want to. I think the elders need to work with the younger group to bring in the wisdom, to share the wisdom. But I think here, like I say, some of our politicians coming straight out of political science out of the university, and they're innovative, they're inspired, and they're not waiting on it. They know the change that needs to be made.
Right.
And they're not waiting on no elder or no one else to make a decision. They're looking at the condition and they have answers and they have support. I mean, because we rally them on, and these neighborhood associations, when we have meetings, we invite them because we want to hear what we want to. We're old. We want to hear what you're gonna make. We want to see how you're gonna remake the world. So we listen, and so we have grandchildren. We have children. So we're dealing with our future. And here in Baton Rouge, one of the things that I have to say, and I think Kareem would testify, we like our black neighborhoods. We like Eaton Park, Gus Young Park, Valley Park. We have a park called Eden Park. I mean, you can't get no better than that. But we like our community, and we have people want to come in and buy the land and the houses. But we have young people, grandchildren, here they're coming back home, right? We have grandchildren moving back home and remodeling, restoring and remodeling the homes in the neighborhood to bring new life in the neighborhood. And we have community centers, and at every community center in the community, our councilman they have an office. So you can address them. If he's not in the office or she's not in the office, you can go to that community center and see what's going on at the community center, the senior citizen area and the youth area and all of that. You have to stay involved. And if they're not there, you can leave your question, your comment, or whatever you want to do to invite them at a church or wherever you want them to, at one of your meetings or something. And they will show up and come because we have learned that we need each other to make the change. We need each other. So we are the man in the mirror. We are all the man in the mirror.
We all the man in the mirror.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
I just want to add just a little something with what Rashida was talking about, and also that the tafsir where the Imam stated that ain't nothing wrong. See, black asses want to be with black asses, red asses want to be with red asses. Nothing wrong with want to be around your own folks. Nothing wrong with that. Alhamdulillah.
I'd like to say this. In our governor running ship, I've never known of I never checked it out before, but the wife of the current governor putting in a pitch to become the governor. Have you all? Yeah, for the wife running for governor. DeSantis' wife is running for governor.
What?
Yeah, she's the first lady. Now, is it she along with Matt Gaetz and others? They put their bid in early in the year. But one thing, the one I spoke about that's from Tampa, he's African American, and he's on the Republican ticket, and he's also been trumped by Trump, meaning he been uh, uh, what you call it, voted in by Trump. Like his okay. So whether he wins, and now he's raised by over $40 million already, and he was in the stretch with all the others as they grouped, and I like watching the patterns. And so as he was in the group, he come along, but they were more out front, but he just slowly jogged along, and now being that Trump bidded for him too, now he's out front, and now others are really looking at him, his stature, his. But what we're studying now is with the other teams, the uh, not only CARE, but the other team that's it starts with the E. Can't think of the name of it now. But what we've really been taught to really research the background of individuals, and as you do, regardless of whether they get in office, like our mayor now, he was commissioner for 12 years. He knew the ropes of how the dollars come in and how those dollars get commissioned out to the mayors. So for him becoming mayor, they couldn't pull the wool over on his eyes when those dollars came in on the budget to be dedicated to the various cities. So with him, we felt good about. We just had to get him in the seat. Well, as Muslim, though, and as the interfaith group, it came out in the interfaith group 3 weeks ago that he has never come to our request to say that he sends somebody else. But the other mayor who was in for 8 years, he always came at our request, no matter how busy he was. So we kind of frowned upon this particular mayor not doing that. And then, but he's very regular on making his reports. He's very regular with being with the many multifaceted groups that come up before him, the Mexicans, the Puerto Ricans, the LGBTQ, and some African Americans, but most African Americans are pulling back, saying, wait a minute now, we need you to do this. We needed you to do this. Now that we're in the last stretch of his mayor situation. But the one thing that stood out to us too is that we understand that he may be. I don't know if he's striving to run for governor himself. He may be a late comer and put his bid in. I don't know. Our mayor is who I'm speaking about. But alhamdulillah, I'll stop right there. He's on the Democrat end.
So the question becomes, Sister Martha, the people in Florida who have a strong dislike or repugnance against this current governor, or are they more supportive of him?
Oh, we're outnumbered as far as district by district, with the Republicans being the higher number, but they've been grooming a lot of the young students at the colleges. But I think we're seeing a push now that Democrats were working in the mud holes and potholes, and in the back streets, and getting the minds of the young people. But at the same time, a factor of imprisonment has become much stronger. They're making prison look more beautiful. So to answer your question, we're not totally behind. Well, he's had so many other failures. He just attached everything to what Trump had promoted. The DEI factor, the educational process, even the redistricting of the Republican Democrat lines for voting, the not wanting voting times extended, not giving more the students time to vote on campus, making things irregular, and the post office. We know that's federal, but uh, just campaigning for a lot of things, as well as I must give the hype to things that he has done, as far as the person that's been over the waterways and all of that. The foundations for schools have picked up, even though students, it was a big drop at one point, but they're picking up. So a lot of internal local things are coming through. We're getting federal dollars. But if you're not at the table to sit and be a component for receiving those dollars, or you don't understand how it flows, you can't just be emotionally saying, we don't have this, we don't have that. You have to be at the table and be a decision maker.
It is what it is. It is the thing that I have discovered, and really is a motivating factor for this year, and some of the things that will occur around my participation, and particularly the solutions in terms of what it is that we're talking about, right? So we move into the third part of our show, which is the movement, right? Of course, we always have the conversation, so we can get things out there and we share our experiences as we've just done. But now, what is the movement? What do we do? And in that space, what we talk about is moving locally, intentionally and consistent. And each of us has said that what we are, though we know about these larger landscapes and these things that are happening even in our own states, in our own cities sometimes, we have our own districts. And in our districts, there are people who represent us in those places locally that we can immediately go to, right? So we don't have to wind up always talking with our senator or our governor or our mayor or our congressman, because they're that sit and represent us right here in our district in many different ways, around education, around creation, around economics. And it is important for us as a group of people to move forward with that knowledge and educate ourselves. And again, that is part of what the culture has to remember to do. is transition into a state of awareness, right? To say to our younger folk and to activate with our younger folk in these spaces that are locally available to affect change in a lot of these spaces that we talk about that are important to us. There are practical things that can be done, and one of those things is being able to educate yourself on what is actually happening locally that affects you and your family and your neighbor.
I think that one of the things that we really have to be conscious of is the jurisprudence of our communities, the rules and regulations that are available. Because many a times, if we participate in social media, especially with mainstream media and others, they will. It seems like they basically say that rules and regulations don't matter, especially when you come to the current administration, where the current administration is not following the jurisprudence of the Constitution of the United States. But what they're doing, they're not. But the jurisprudence and the rules and regulations still are important to pursue to that degree. We had a conversation on American Muslim 360 about copyrights. It's important for us to really have an understanding of the rules regulations regarding that. It's really important that we and so that people can't just make up their own rules about what it is that they're doing. Because if they make up their own rules, even with the police type of situation, you get involved as far as police, you got to know the rules, you got to know the regulations, you have to know it so that if you ever become involved in that situation, that you know what to say or what to do in order to get yourself out. So I think that that's one of the jurisprudence of the situations that we are in as far as our local communities are concerned, and as observers the way that rules and regulations are being followed in the country, that we should be very much more aware of that.
And let me mention too that. Oh, I apologize. Oh, I want to give credence to our mayor has been very strong. Like I say, developers. He really touched bases with them because he's mindful of the dollars and where to get those dollars. At the same time, he continued with the support of the citywide iftar that by Tampa Bay Area Muslim Association. We've been really planting ourselves in the community. We've become a real true part of the community, so much so that CWSC nationally is recognized at the citywide iftar of St. Petersburg, Florida, which is held at the oldest historical coliseum, which is a large amount of people, a little less than 1,000, can attend. And so the engagement of the community has been very much uh, benefiting to the council as as something, what do you call it? What's the word? Something well, beneficial. Getting people to know one another. That's what I'm going to say. And at the same time, we're now embedding the neighborhood association, the president of all the neighborhood associations, to come forward so that we can make the next strategic move, and that is to educate the community at large on financial literacy and on how to get our grammar back in place, get it more focused about the grammar and how that helps people to get their be workers or business owners or entrepreneurs or what have you, but it improves their status about themselves rather than just lingering on. So, alhamdulillah, and that way we can connect with NAACP, Urban League, and their mission and all of that. We can give a little more light to it, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. I mean, and this is exactly what we are talking about in terms of being able to educate oneself, and it's cultural too. It has to do with not putting your issues to the side and gathering and jumping into the bigger issues, which sometimes can be grand, but also recognizing how in your space, in the way in which you are passionate and concerned, there is an understanding of the compliance. And I think, Pop, you were mentioning that as well as Sister Martha. You have to understand partnerships come with compliance. We each have to understand, like you mentioned about the mayor who, was for 12 years prior was engaged in where the funds were going. This individual, now when he steps into the room, he understands how this process works. And understanding the process creates the ability to have confidence and become patient and to recognize change, even if it's small, right? And it's minuscule, but each minuscule step is leading towards the grander project. It becomes clearer, and you don't become, and people, families, communities don't become frustrated by seeing that it didn't happen overnight. Many things don't happen overnight when you talk about policy. Right? So again, as someone, what we are talking about, let me jump into that, what Pop was saying about war earlier. The policy that exists says that in order to do a thing like go into a country and invade it requires Congress's approval. For you not to go through the process of getting Congress's approval is disgusting. For you not to have put the United States citizenry for another war that they have to pay for, right? For another incursion into a country that we have to pay for, to stand up there in front of the press and say, we are now, the United States, going to take over another country and run it. Who is paying for this? When we can't pay for it, when we don't have adequate housing, or we don't have adequate education, or we don't have adequate economic stability in our own country, and now you're willing to commit resources to a whole other country that we not only there, but in the Middle East. You just had one in Nigeria. I mean, what are we doing? Right? So again, this overnight kind of thing that this administration has decided that they're going to do and just ignore protocols, policies, and procedures is a grand mistake.
There's something
and
else.
We don't want to continue.
Yeah.
Right. We don't want to continue down that path. Go ahead, Pop.
Yeah, there's something else that it says, especially, because you're supposed to be the leader of the world. But if we even take that title away and say just the leader of the United States, the president of the United States, who is not following the rules, what makes you think that the American people then say, well, you ain't following? You follow some damn rules. You follow the rules. Yeah, you ain't following the rules. I think that's something that
Has to be
the example that is being set is just a terrible example. That he's.
I still don't like them.
No.
You know, they brought the National Guards to Louisiana and Tennessee. And one of the first questions was, who's paying for this? Because your locals have to pay for it, your state. your state have to pay for it, right? And our politicians did not want to pay for that. But when the federal is forcing themselves on you, politicians are funny. Politicians, to me, they're double-faced. They're two-faced. They might say, we don't want y'all here, but let's just go along with it anyway. But when they get together in the chamber, they like cats and dogs. Who's gonna pay for this? Who's gonna do this? Who's gonna watch over them? Where they gonna stay? And so I just say, stay involved. Stay involved with your community. Stay involved. And read and go to the library and find out what is going on in your environment and stay involved. So I'm like,
Very good. Lord. I will end this off. What a great show that we had today, man. All processes. I want you to do me a favor as I grab this up. As I'm trying to wrap it up. But I want you to go and grab up the Tupac speech in front of the governmental officials. It was like one of these, I forget what it was, but just type it in and see if you can pull it up. It's Tupac talking at a council meeting to a number of community leaders about what it is that young people do and what they don't believe that their leadership is doing. See if you can pull that up. While you do that, I just want to make mention that you have to build with integrity. The integrity in how it is that we move. Secondly, we have to be sometimes, when we understand these rules and procedures, have a conversation here. We talk about cleanliness in our building, right? And we have a porter. That porter's not always to come and pick up that piece of paper, and pick up that string, or take that garbage that was dropped behind the steps and throw it outside. No, we cannot do that. What we have to do is we have to take that piece of paper up.
That's
We
right.
have to take that garbage from back behind there and throw
That's
it out.
right.
We will have to take the water, throw it on the floor, get a mop and mop that for ourselves. Why? Not because we don't expect the building to do it because we pay, but because we ourselves live in the condition.
Yes.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Are we gonna continue to wait for someone else, or are we gonna take the reins of our own condition and make it better? Those are the things that are prevalent in our communities. The get up, get involved, and do mentality. Let's get to that, because that right there, my people, is exactly how we make change, by getting to it. Were you able to find that piece?
Is there in town hall meeting?
Yes, sir. Let's get this last comment, and then we'll go ahead and let you play that.
Alhamdulillah. I just want to say, brother, that what you're saying, it was one of our first teaching. All what you're saying. You need to learn the Constitution of the United States, learn your city law and your state law.
That's right.
And your rights. Alhamdulillah. And your human rights.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. We are here.
That's right. That's right.
We're going to compare reports.
That's because they got rights.
And listen, and I will tell you that my father, my mother, and that all the people who are around me, that is how they raised me, and that is why I moved the way I have moved all my entire life, because of the knowledge that I am a citizen of America. And though I have connection to ancestry outside of this country and to the history of everything that has ever been developed in this society, I know I am an American citizen who has the rights of any American who was born in this country. And that is what you're about this year. Let me just say this before we let Pop play this. This is giving you experience. When we bring voice to the voices, also if you have any suggestions for future show topics, email us at live.com to join the experience today. Look forward to sharing another Sunday with you next week. Thank you to the Cultural Insights family and New Day Community Radio on American Muslim 360.
Thank you. Thank a lot for you.
Sister Rashida, Sister Martha, I appreciate you. And I tell you all, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Goodbye. Well, everyone, join us again at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for contemplations of Imam Worth Dean Muhammad, as Imam Michael Hameen and Imam Kareem Hamid read from the Ramadan sessions. I think we're at 2004 Ramadan sessions by Imam Worth Dean Muhammad. Do plan to attend right here on the number one Islamic Broadcasting Network. Thank Allah for you. Assalamu alaikum.